Thank you.
Nee, toch Belgische nummerplaten. A walk in the park.
I think it will be from there.
From that side?
Yeah.
Ja, lekker. Je voelt het niet.
Ik ging douchen. Van mijn handen toe voelde ik het. Ik dacht, jezus. Ja, dat ja.
Nou, dat is weer een geheime zonde.
Maar die auto blijft waarschijnlijk wel staan.
Ja?
Ja, dat zeiden ze. Dat hebben ze geniet op. Ja, echt heel krachtig.
Ja, nog wat voor
Als die auto blijft staan, dan willen wij even op het trapje staan. Kun je dan nog een beetje bewegen? Lukt dat?
Ja, het is hier wel op de trap.
Ja, als die auto blijft staan. Dan wij...
Daar gewoon
Ja? Oké, ja, ja. Ja, ja.
Sophie,
Ja?
mag ik achter jou staan?
Ja, en dan kom achter. Wie is deze meneer? Sorry. Jullie kennen ons voor de man.
Sophie, hou hem maar. Ik kom eraan.
I will not become outside, don't worry.
How are you? You met in Brussels.
Yeah.
Doing well? Not as well.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad. Staying strong.
Yeah. Thanks.
Не знаю, синдром актера.
Sorry, pardon.
Okay. Yes. Sit down now, but I think it's better.
Dankjewel. Ja, dankjewel.
See you later.
Naar buiten.
You have enough for a movie?
Yeah, it's 2 shots. 2 shots.
This is the primary audio circuit for the Reuters live service. This is the primary audio circuit for the Reuters live service. This is the primary audio circuit for the Reuters live service.
Hallo?
Okay, second channel, yeah, first channel.
Ze allemaal in beeld.
Check, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Last check. Everything good. 1 is the floor. 0 is the floor. 1 is English. And 2 is Ukraine. Yeah. Yes. Sounds okay? Yes? Thank you.
Oh, ik dacht dat je vroeg, gaat zij ook staan?
Nee,
wat raar.
Ik kom hier nooit.
Een paar vragen
Welcome at the Katshuis. We first have 3 statements, and after that there's room for a few questions. Prime Minister Rutte.
Mr. President, dear Volodymyr, a warm welcome to you and your delegation. Welcome to the Netherlands, welcome to my hometown, The Hague, and let me say it is a truly special moment for us all to have you in our midst. Prime Minister, dear Alexander, welcome to you as well. Your presence here today is proof that Belgium and the Netherlands stand shoulder to shoulder with Ukraine, as friends, but also as allies. Volodymyr, it has been now 434 days since you spoke a few simple words that resonated all over the world. And I say what you are saying then. We are all here defending our independence, our country, and it will stay this way. That's what you said. And it would be an understatement to say that you've kept your word. The resolve and courage of the brave soldiers and citizens of Ukraine is without precedent in our lifetime. And you yourself have become a symbol of what a country and its people can do when they are fighting for their existence, their freedom and their future. And we all admire you for that. When I had the privilege to address the members of the Rada almost a year ago, I said, we will stay with you every inch of the way. And let me assure you, Volodymyr, that we too are determined to keep our word. Because this is an unjust war against everything we stand for. This is a war against freedom, democracy, and the rule of law in our part of the world. That's why we stand with the Ukrainian people and why you can count on our unwavering support. Russia cannot win this war, and it must be held accountable for all the crimes of aggression and the injustice it is inflicting on the people of Ukraine day after day in this horrific war. So what better place to meet than here in The Hague, the legal capital of the world. Ever since the downing of flight MH17, we in the Netherlands have known that justice doesn't come automatically. You have to have staying power. The Netherlands will do everything it can to ensure that justice is done for Ukraine, however long it takes, and however difficult it may be. Volodymyr, as you know, your visit to the Netherlands couldn't have come at a more symbolic moment. Every year, on the 4th of May, we remember the Dutch victims of the Second World War and all the soldiers who have given their lives since then for peace and freedom worldwide. Tomorrow, on the 5th of May, Liberation Day, we are fortunate that we can celebrate that we have been a free country since 1945. And so, after so many years, it's easy to take peace and freedom for granted. But every day, the brutal Russian aggression against Ukraine reminds us that the rule of law is not a given. It needs protecting when threatened and defending when attacked. So believe me when I say that Ukraine will remain in our hearts and our minds, not only today and tomorrow, but every day until peace and freedom are restored in your country. This morning you visited the International Criminal Court here in The Hague. Later this afternoon, we will visit a location where Dutch military equipment is dispatched to the battlefield in Ukraine. Your visit to the Netherlands sends yet another strong signal that the people of Ukraine and its president will not give in to Russian aggression, and that the Netherlands and its allies will continue to support you every inch of the way. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, dear Prime Minister Mark, dear Prime Minister Alexander, dear journalists, dear guests. First of all, I want to thank you for invitation, Mark, to visit the Netherlands on this very special day, when the memory of all those whose lives were claimed by wars is commemorated. And my appreciation, big honor for me to be here. This is a special invitation and a special honor. We share the pain of these losses and must put an end to any aggression. And we're meeting here in the Hague to bring peace closer and to restore justice. What we need justice. And I'm grateful to you, Mark, again, and to the Kingdom of the Netherlands for your powerful and timely support Ukrainian of our defense. The Patriot and other weapons that the Netherlands provided us have already saved thousands of Ukrainian lives. Thank you. I'm grateful to you, Alexander, and to the Kingdom of Belgium for the solidarity in defense of our common values, which makes Europe a Europe. And thank you for your support of sanctions against Russia and aid packages for our country and people. Today we focused mainly on security issues. The most important thing now is to deliver what was promised to our soldiers as quickly as possible. And I have called on our partners, both the Netherlands and Belgium, to help us implement the agreements on military assistance as quickly as possible. Very important is that we are working to create a coalition of armed vehicles to complement the existing coalition of tanks. And we hope that the Netherlands and Belgium, together with the Nordic countries and all our other partners, will effectively support our initiative to create this coalition of armed vehicles. Besides, it's a time to make positive decisions for Ukraine on modern aircrafts, and there is no rational reason to postpone such decisions to train our pilots and to strengthen the wings for Ukraine, a means to speed up the peace we all wanted. Of course, we discussed today a strengthening of our common euro. We will discuss today very important issue, our common euro Atlantic security, and it's very important. De facto, Ukraine has already become a part of NATO. We cooperate, we trust each other, and together we truly make Europe stronger. And so it stands to reason that Ukraine should become part of alliance de jure, the sod NATO country. The algorithm of actions in this regard can and should be approved by political decisions at the Vilnius summit of the alliance this summer, and we count on the support of our partners. Later, we will discuss Ukraine-EU relations, and we are waiting for a positive assessment of progress in implementing recommendation of the European Commission, and we do all our best during the war. We do all reforms, what we have to do, and this will be the time when political positive momentum will open the way to a new and long-lasting positive history, both for Ukraine and for the whole Europe. And one more point, I would like to thank you for your support. Our peace formula is 10 very points that can restore not only our territorial integrity and security, but also can reliably guarantee the long-term security of Europe and the world. This is our joint task, to restore the full force of the UN Charter and international law in general. Everything that was violated by Putin and Russia. Peace calls for sanctions to be stronger, for the isolation of Russia to be more complete. Peace calls for assets of terrorist state to be confiscated, and peace calls damages to be repaired and ruins to be rebuilt. And I'm sure we will do it together. Thanks again to you, Mark, and thank you, Alexander. Thank you. So much.
Dear Vladimir, dear Mark, thank you for an invitation, and an invitation that is symbolic on many levels. First of all, on the ties that we have as countries, ties which in essence are about values, the values of democracy, of respect, of sovereignty, but also symbolic on the timing, Mark. You invite us here on the eve of the Dutch Liberation Day, where we commemorate how our British friends, our American friends, Canadians, and so many others came here to liberate us and to bring peace, as you stated it very well. And I think as a moment of this, it is important to continue to show our solidarity with Ukraine, as we have done, both countries and so many others from day one, even before the invasion. And let me be clear on that, we will continue with the same motivation and the same engagement to continue to show our solidarity with Ukraine. It is now our our turn to help Ukraine to get rid, once again, of a cruel and an illegal occupation, kind of occupation that our countries have endured during the Second World War as well. This is why Belgium is in the process of preparing a new package of military aid for Ukraine. And as we know, in these military aid packages, there are often practical obstacles. But I can tell you that there is not a single doubt in any of the Belgian hearts and minds that we need to continue to support Ukraine. That is why last March, Belgium seized approximately 200 million euros of the proceeds from Russian assets that were frozen in Belgium. And we are using those funds exclusively to help the Ukrainian war effort and to support Ukrainian refugees in Belgium. And I'm convinced that we can go further in that domain, not only by seizing the interests, but also looking at the full proceeds of the Russian assets themselves. Since the beginning of the war, Belgian services have seized more than 180 billion of Russian assets of the Russian central bank. We are now examining how we can fully use the proceeds of those Russian assets to support the Ukrainian war effort and to support the reconstruction of Ukraine as well. And Belgium is ready to play a leading role in that, and we will do that together with the European Commission. I've always said, since the beginning of this war, we need to hit Russia in a smart way and in an effective way. Using Russian money to rebuild a country that they are destroying makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense from an economic perspective, but even more so, it makes perfect sense from a moral perspective as well. So, dear Mark, thank you for extending this invitation here today in The Hague. And dear Vladimir, we cannot repeat it often enough how much we admire your courage, how we admire the courage of your population. And let it be clear again, we will continue to support you with everything we can support. Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава. Thank you, Alexander.
First question is for 1+1 TV channel.
Пане президент, вітаємо вас у Гаазі. І, мабуть, найголовніше питання, яке
Just a second.
Please repeat the question.
Sorry for asking it in Ukraine.
We have to be quick in Ukraine, yes. Please.
Пане президент, мабуть, найважливіше питання, яке можна поставити у столиці справедливості, це, власне, трибунал щодо російської агресії. Зараз ми бачимо тиск від країн-партнерів України щодо створення гібридного трибуналу, так званого. При цьому Україна продовжує наголошувати, що потрібен міжнародний процес. Яким ви бачите трибунал щодо російської агресії нині і що, власне, потрібно для його створення? Дякую.
Дуже дякую. По-перше, у мене сьогодні була дійсно дуже гарна зустріч в ICC, і я дякую президентові, що у мене була така можливість. Ми працюємо на високому рівні, і дякуємо не тільки президенту ICC, дякуємо команді прокурора Хана. Дійсно, ми бачили результат щодо військово-політичного керівництва Російської Федерації за їх злочин, що, незважаючи на ту чи іншу роботу, ми будемо працювати над створенням окремого трибуналу, тому що ми повинні засуджувати злочин агресії як такий, як найголовніший, як первісний злочин. І тут у нас є велика група, кор-груп, ви знаєте, вже вона складається вже з 30, мені здається, на сьогодні з 35 країн, але тим не менш, так, є якісь ті чи інші думки щодо в якому виді повинен бути цей побудований трибунал. Наша позиція чітка. Вчора у нас була зустріч з нашими партнерами Nordic Countries, ми показали їм чітку свою позицію. До цього у нас є зустрічі і домовилися з нашими Baltic countries, Baltic friends. Сьогодні я таку саму думку сказав і Марку, і Олександру. Ми будемо працювати без будь-яких гібридних форматів. Будемо працювати над конкретним трибуналом, щоб від відповідальності за свої злочини, вбивства, катування, як ми розуміємо, хто віддавав накази, щоб ці люди не були недоторканими. Для нас це дуже важливо, це одне з принципових питань. Сьогодні у мене була ще промова, дякую за те, що така велика можливість сьогодні є у мене звернутися до наших друзів. І там вже ж я багато про що говорив, ми знаємо звідки пішов гібридний мир. Ми з вами точно пам'ятаємо, з початку 2014 року Мінські угоди, це і був такий собі гібридний мир. Ми знаємо, до чого це призвело, тому на будь-який гібридний мир і гібридний трибунал, як розвиток цього, Україна погоджуватись не хоче.
Next question, NOS.
Добрий день в Нідерландах. Mr. President, you can count on the unwavering support of the Netherlands, our Prime Minister repeated, and you need the support. You ask for support on many different fields. For instance, fighter jets, EU accession, quick NATO accession, a special tribunal. I was wondering in which of these 4 points did you get specific commitments from our Prime Minister today, or are you hoping to get them later today? And it's also a question to our Prime Minister, on which of these 4 points can you assure Mr. Zelenskiy that, yes, indeed, you can count on this unwavering support? Because it's not a secret that, for instance, Netherlands is very hesitant, very reluctant if it comes to giving the accession to your country of NATO. And that's why I was wondering if, at some point, if Netherlands keeps on being hesitant or reluctant even, will you stop calling our Prime Minister your dear friend? Thank you.
Dear friend, I have to begin from this verse. So, a lot of different challenges and a lot of difficulties, you know, on the battlefield. I'm like the president of the country which is in war. Of course, we need a lot of different issues to have a victory. And it not depends only on us. But of course, we need justice. And it's not depends only on our possibilities and our wishes. That's why we need dear friends. And really, but first of all, we need because we fight for common values. And I feel support of our support of Parliament, support of Marx, support of government since first days of full-scale war. It's really true, and I'm thankful for it. And like I said, patriots, etc. But can I now focus on that things what we discussed? We are speaking now about what's going on the battlefield and what we are preparing for. We are preparing for real justice, but there are two directions of justice. Justice on the battlefield, we have to deoccupy our territory. We have all these rights. We're not fighting with Russia on Russian territory. We are fighting against, not with, against their aggression. And that's why we have to do it, and I'm focusing now on this. And we spoke about it, how to help, how to strengthen Ukraine and our army, and to be strong. We are not weak. We want just to be stronger. And that's why we need this support. And I think we will get it. We speak about very concrete things, about very concrete number of things. I can't share, this with you, all these concrete issues. Maybe somebody... there's no, because when you are preparing such details, such things, such steps forward, counter-offensive steps, which are very important. I don't want to speak a lot of with details. Yeah, so, but I think that we will get this support. And it's about weapon. And if we're speaking about NATO, well, we need, and I think we, last some months, we have got positive messages from some countries who are ready to support Ukraine, really support and to do something more than open door on Vilnius summit. We need something more, yes? And I think that also our friends will support us and will see us in NATO. But anyway, we're realistic. We know that we will not be in NATO during the war. But during the war, we want to get very clear message that we will be in NATO after the war.
You get this positive result also from our country. The NATO accession is support.
Let's listen, Mark.
Yeah.
Дякую,
if we
дуже
start,
дякую.
so on the three issues, F-16s, NATO and EU, what was the fourth one? Of course, as you know, line item 7 out of the Zelenskiy 10-point peace plan is the line item we are very much focusing on. Of course, on all the line items, but particularly point 7, which is about accountability. The Hague being the international capital of justice, it's clear that we want to work on this. On the tribunal, we're also working on this horrible issue of the abduction of children, together with Germany and other countries. In Belgium, we are working on collecting all the evidence of what is happening currently in Ukraine, including with fact-finding missions to make sure that all the evidence is captured, working closely with the ICC. So on that issue, we are in a complete agreement. On the F-16s, no taboos. We are working intensely with our partners, Belgium, others, the UK, Denmark, on getting that debate somehow to a conclusion. We are not there yet, and that's always very sensitive. I've seen this before with the Leopards 2, I've seen it before with the Panzer Howitzers. It takes time to bring that to a conclusion. But at this moment, the Panzer Howitzers are in Ukraine. The Leo 2s are being delivered to Ukraine. So we will work on this diligently on the F-16s, and clearly there is support in Parliament for this government to work on that. On NATO, very sensitive, exactly for the reason the President was mentioning, which is that at this moment there is a war going on in Ukraine, this terrible Russian aggression war. And here I think that Jens Stoltenberg, the NATO Secretary General, found some very practical wording, saying that Ukraine belongs to the Euro-Atlantic family, but he also said that Ukraine will eventually become a member of NATO, and that we must continue to support Ukraine to make this possible. And also for the Netherlands, it's clear that we support Ukraine's NATO ambitions. What we are working on now, in a run-up to the Vilnius summit, is to make sure that we take a step, that we do not just go back to the wording from Bucharest and whatever, but that we take a clear step, and what it exactly will be negotiated over the next 4 to 6 weeks. We have to do that with all the 30 NATO countries to make sure that everybody is on one line. And on EU accession, as you know, thanks to the statesmanship of Ursula von der Leyen, we were able last May to come to conclusions, which is that EU membership and the future EU membership for Ukraine is now clearly on the table, and that the negotiations are going on. I think we can still thank her for that, because it was a difficult issue, not just with the Netherlands, but also with many other countries in this part of the world, because we had our doubts at that moment. But I am absolutely impressed by what the President's team is doing, fighting a war against Russia, and at the same time making concrete steps in terms of clearing the way in terms of this whole process towards EU accession. It is up to the Commission later this year to assess the progress. There is a clear process within the EU. That's different from NATO. There is not a clear process in NATO that step by step this is what you need to do to get to accession. But in the EU, we have that process. And the next step is for the EU Commission to come up with a report in October. But I'm really impressed. In my last visit in February to Kiev, but also last July before, to see what they are doing in the middle of this war to clear that path to this ambition. And that gives me every confidence that we can get there. But again, it's up now to the Commission to assess in October the progress on Ukraine, also Moldova, and of course the Western Balkan countries.
Next question, VTM.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's wonderful to see you in good health here in the Netherlands. But our question is, how seriously do you take the Russian outspoken threat now that they think is justified to eliminate you, whether in Ukraine or right here in The Hague?
Any decisions of Russia are not interesting for us for today. Any decisions of their leader still from 24th of February, he's not leader of for us. He's not the real leader of the country in which words or steps you can trust. Yes. So for me, it doesn't matter what they think. We know what they do. We see their demotivated country on the battlefield. What is very important. We don't see ever the strong army on the battlefield and a really strong society which support their steps forward. We see different radical groups which are supporting, which want to use some nuclear, which are called to burn all our country. That's it. For us, it's not more any country on, and so I mean it's not interesting topic. We will not negotiate with these kind of persons anything. I think that they have to think to how to change the climate in their country, to change their regime, and after that they can bring their society to any diplomatic possibility, yes, to finish this war. But first, what we see, we have to deoccupy our country, be just on our borders.
Next question, Ukreform News.
I will switch to Ukrainian. Пане президент, що нам потрібно наразі зараз на фронті і що кажуть, власне, партнери, як пояснюють, чому зволікають з F-16, а також з далекобійними ракетами?
А також з чим?
А також з далекобійними ракетами.
Наша задача сьогодні наповнити наше угруповання дефіцитом зброї, про яку я вам сказав. Моя така місія була вчора, а моя місія така сьогодні. І ми планували ці візити щодо посилення нашої армії як один із аспектів. Безпека – це другий аспект, це НАТО і євроінтеграція. Тому важливі речі, всі передані нашими партнерами, багато з чим, я вважаю, ми повертаємось. Серйозні є пакети від наших партнерів, і це найголовніше. Щодо F-16, ми всі можемо довго про це говорити. Але ми з вами розуміємо, що F-16 в будь-якому випадку починається з навчання, і це training missions, які можуть надати нам тільки ті країни, які мають відповідні майданчики, ті, які мають на своєму озброєнні F-16. Але це таке складне питання, таке саме, як і питання консолідації країн щодо нашого майбутнього в Євросоюзі, консолідації країн щодо нашого майбутнього в НАТО. Ми працюємо над цим. Я впевнений, що у нас буде позитивний результат, тому що у нас іншого немає виходу.
Next question, RTL.
Mr. President Zelenskiy, and thank you for answering our questions. Your country is getting ready for a spring offensive, and I was wondering, what do you think might happen if that fails? What will you do? Does this feel like a last chance effort for you? Will it force you to negotiate if the spring effort fails? And are you worried the support with weapons might dry up in the future?
Thank you very much for the question. We believe in success in our counteroffensive mission. It's very important. We do what we can. We do our best. Our society, not only soldiers, our society which work on our army. It's really all our factories, business, just ordinary Ukrainians, what we can do to strengthen our army each day. And we do it and we prepare counteroffensive. And I really, we don't think that we don't have success. It's not our way. And that is why I can't answer to your question. I have only one target, and we understand it. And so I think we will have results. I can't say that that is totally success, because, never knows. And when you lose people, it's not the right word, success. When you lose people, even if you win, you lose. Even you win in some sector, in some territory, even when you deoccupied and everybody needed it in Ukraine, it's really, but you lose also, because you lose people. And these losses are very painful for country. And yes, it's a big tragedy. But anyway, we will go. We are waiting something from our partners, because of different reasons, absolutely different reasons. And during this war, it's not very simple for me to come to other countries, to our partners. Yes, because I don't want to demotivate our people, our society, and our soldiers. And I can't go, everywhere when I should go or want. Yes, I mean that. So you have to understand why I'm sometimes somewhere. And because of preparation, really, because of strengthening, to be more strong on the battlefield, and to bring some not good news for Russian also. I'm in Hague. Yesterday I was in Finland, not far from justice. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Last question is for VTM.
VRT.
I'm sorry, VRT.
Mr. President, the Belgian Prime Minister talked about the huge amount of Russian money seized in Belgium, 200 billion euros. He proposed to use the proceeds of this money for Ukraine. Is that enough for you, or do you want to use the money itself for the reconstruction of Ukraine? And Prime Minister, are you willing to look into this possibility to use the money itself for reconstruction of Ukraine?
Thank you very much. Very important question. Of course, we want to use all the money to renovate our country, because they destroyed, they destroyed our energy network, our schools, educational network. I mean, these schools, universities, cultural centers, museums, churches, and the infrastructure, just infrastructure for people. And of course, for all of these issues, we need money, and we spoke about it today. And Alexander told me that they are finding some mechanism to help us in this, in renovation. I think that is the problem and the question not only of Belgium. I think that the problem with the law in the countries who really have this, this money, who frozen some money, and etc. But it's not enough. If you're asking, is it enough? It's not enough, because even World Bank, I think that the last analytics shows us that now we need more than 400 billions. It's real statistics, but we don't know. We don't know what's going on temporary occupied territories. I mean, that what is the level of destroying there. So we are finding the mechanism. We are asking our friends to help us and to find this mechanism in countries, and of course on the level of EU, on the level of EU Commission.
Thank you for the question. As I said, I think first of all, from a moral perspective, it's totally defendable that the financial means of the persons who are creating such a dramatic situation in Ukraine would be used. From an economic perspective, as I said, we are looking into a mechanism to seize the proceeds of the almost 200 billion which are frozen in Belgium. Of course, that can only happen when there is a legal basis. Respect for the rule of law is an essential value of what we share, and Belgium will be taking the lead together with the European Commission to create a legal framework to make that seizure of the proceeds possible. On top of that, the question is there other ways you could use the capital to make sure that the financing is available for the reconstruction of Ukraine and to finance the war efforts, and that as well we are exploring of what possibilities would be, but of course it needs to be on a legal framework. But this is something that we are working on with our specialists.
Thank you so much. One short
Very
question.
quick.
It's the final one.
What do you say to members of Dutch Parliament who think that Dutch Remembrance Day should only be about Dutch victims?
Today I was in Parliament, and in Dutch Parliament, and it was my second invitation. The first one was online, and today I came just with great honor, and I'm honored to be invited by Mark and by them. And well, I said a lot of warm things which are going from heart of all our Ukrainians. We are thankful for strengthening on the battlefield, for refugees just for people. And I know that the President of Parliament, he said to me that blood and victims, and so I mean that. But it's a big tragedy that today we again fighting with the regime, and of course we are calling and we give messages to different parliaments and leaders not to repeat, not to give possibility of regime of Russia to bring and to involve all us to the sword World War, not to give him possibility. Now we are staying, and now we are staying, and we are fighting against it, and against possibility to involve all the world to a new tragedy, big tragedy, and that's why we need help. And I've got this support from Parliament.
Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you.